welcome to Kenya's Gold, where the focus on the program today is to learn so much about maize farming. And in this particular segment, we do have a team of experts from Apollo Agriculture. We do have Mr. Benjamin Jenga, who is the co-founder and managing director. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. And also we do have Lynette Hissa, who is the senior agriculture associate at Apollo Agriculture. Now, our farmers are listening, waiting for you to unpack for them solutions on what they need to do in order to unpack optimum harvest this season of maize. Yeah. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. Now, I'll start with the fact that your messaging is very clear this season of maize, that our farmers deserve better support to grow and earn more. I'll start with you, Mr. Benjamin. Please talk to us in depth about who Apollo Agriculture is, and when you're talking about giving our farmers better support, what kind of support is Apollo Agriculture offering our maize farmers?
Thank you so much, Ngena, for having us here today. So it's a pleasure to also be able to talk to our farmers today. So at Apollo Agriculture, our mission is to support our farmers to make more money. And how we do that is that by giving them all the tools and the inputs they need to be able to succeed. So if at all you are a farmer, you have 1 acre piece of land in Kitale and you are planting maize, we give you everything that you need to be able to succeed. All the way from high quality seeds, we give you planting fertilizer, we give you top dressing fertilizer, we give you crop protection products. And on top of that, we also give you insurance. In case of a bad season, we are able to get you an insurance compensation from our insurance partners. Right. And also, above all, we are also able to give you the financing so that you can be able to afford all those inputs at planting and be able to pay slowly over the season. And we have already been doing that for the last 8 years. We are very excited. We are working with so many farmers in Kenya and now in Zambia. And the beauty of it is that most of our farmers are successful. We are seeing when farmers are able to use all our package, those farmers are able to double and triple their production in a season, enabling them to make more money, but also be able to repay their loan comfortably.
Right. So please talk to us. Your presence is felt in how many counties in the country right now? And someone is also very curious to find out why Zambia. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so very interesting. So right now we are in 22 counties across Kenya. So mostly the maize growing regions. So all the way from Nakuru, Kericho, Western, that is Bungoma, Kakamega, also in the North Rift, and we are supporting many farmers. And as I said, we also wanted to be able to deliver these proven products that have been able to work very well in Kenya to also in another country, and we wanted an offset season to Kenya so that at least once we support our farmers in Kenya in March, like a period like this, we can also be able to support the same farmers in Zambia. And we are excited to be able to see that our support so far is really working very well for our farmers, and we're happy.
Thank you so much for that. I'll come to you, Lynette. You know, they always say necessity is the mother of invention. At any time you see something created, it's because they're trying to sort out a miss that they saw somewhere. So I'd like for you to speak to us, given that you have interacted with a lot of wakulima across the country. What are some of the major challenges that you have seen maize farmers face across the country that you're trying to solve with Apollo Agriculture?
Thank you so much, Ngena, and thank you for having us, as Ben has said. So our maize farmers, there are 3 key things that our farmers are struggling. The one that we know most is climate change. Climate change is a real issue. We were expecting rain to come, and sometimes the rain has delayed. So far, as we've noticed every 2 weeks, even by a month, right? So, and remember, most of our maize farmers are rain-fed. So the first thing is climate change and the fact that rain is not enough. That's one thing we want to solve. We want to give farmers the right inputs for the changes that are happening with the climate. So that's one of the major things that are happening. Secondly, soil health. It's as a result sometimes of climate change, but because most maize farmers grow maize year in, year out, what we call monocropping, the soil becomes depleted of nutrients. So we can no longer continue using the same fertilizers we have been using before. We need to replenish the soil with the right inputs so that the plants can be able to get the right inputs at the right time, at the right quantity to be able to get get you good yields. So those are the two key things that our maize farmers really are facing.
So major challenges that come from climate change and also quality farm inputs.
Yes.
And I'm sure Apollo Agriculture is solving that for our farmers across the country. Now, when we were speaking to Mr. Benjamin at the very beginning, one of the things that you mentioned that you're very keen on offering our farmers is financing. And not just any kind of financing. Apollo Agriculture is keen on making sure you're offering flexible financing. We know the issue of cash flow kicks a lot of farmers out of business. Please talk to us about how the financing that you offer our farmers is different from the other options in the market, and also how it works for the farmers.
Yeah, for sure. So I usually say that our farmers don't usually make money on a monthly basis. They don't have a payroll. They don't make money on a monthly basis. So in this case, we have been able to design a perfect product and a repayment structure that will work for our smallholder farmers. So what we do is that we give the whole package to the farmer so that they can be able to go and plant, and then they pay a small deposit, around 10%, and some even lower than that. And then the rest of the money, the farmer pays slowly over the season, but the full loan is due at harvest once the farmer has been able to sell the produce and made money, and then they can be able to pay back. And that structure really works very well. But the real innovation is really like the technology we have been able to build to make that financing possible. So as you know, most of our farmers, they know they need to use fertilizer, they know they need to use high quality seeds, but if at all they can't afford it, those farmers are still struggling in terms of productivity. But if you go today to a farmer's home and you ask them for a balance sheet or either a profit and loss statement, they definitely don't have it, including even farm records. So in that case, we are able to build technology that is using alternative data from the satellite, data we capture from our farmers, and even data we capture from other third-party systems like the CLB Bureau data, and combining all that data and using latest technology like AI and also machine learning models in a way that we can be able to build a credit profile for this customer using this alternative data set, and then not requiring even collateral from those farmers, because we want to expand our financing to even the women and the youths, and those people, if you ask them for collateral, they don't have it. So with the technology that we have been able to build and the utilization of the new technology, the AI, the machine learning, the mobile phones, we are able to build solutions that work for these farmers in a way that we can be able to extend this financing to these smallholder farmers who have half an acre piece of land or 1 acre piece of land in a way that is truly scalable and profitable to be able to serve those customers.
Right. Now, just still there on the financing, a lot of young people are watching this program right now, and they really complain about finances, given that a lot of financial institutions sometimes do not favor that young person who's just clearing high school, clearing campus. They want to get into agriculture. Wanaitishwa collateral, hawana, sijui watanzia wapi. Please talk to us in depth some more on how you are making sure that this flexible financing is favoring that very young person who has keen interest on thriving in agriculture.
For sure. And one thing, as I said, is really like removing the barriers to access to that credit. One, that these youth and the women, they can be able to comfortably apply for their loans when they are at their farms. So we have an amazing network of field officers spread across the country. So they can be able to walk into a farmer's home and be able to onboard that farmer on our digital platform while they are at home. So we make the access possible. But also the second thing, we make sure the evaluation to be able to finance someone is very easy. As I said, through digital tools that we can be able to use alternative data set, and we don't need to ask for these youth bring us collateral because we know they don't have that collateral. And that kind of structure is able to really unlock the credit for these women and also the youth, and that is why Apollo is the perfect solution for them, because there are no barriers to entry or barriers to financing. And we know, like, most of our farmers are women. They pay well, and we want to support them. So we have to make sure that the access, but also even how we do the financing, is very flexible for them. But the most important one, we don't just give money. We usually make sure that we give the inputs to the farmer. So we make sure we get the quality inputs. It's not cash. We give the money to, we give the inputs to the farmers. We create the magical experience in a way that they can get those inputs at an agrovet near their village. So they get a voucher, they walk into the nearest agrovet, they're able to pick their inputs, and once they pick their inputs, the most important part is also training that farmer so that they can be able to succeed. So we come in with our digital advice, with our agronomy training that Renette was talking about on the ground, and make sure that we have the whole space covered in terms of ensuring that farmer has the training to be able to improve their agronomy practices, they can increase their production so that they can be able to make, so that they can increase, they can make more money at the end, and they can be able to pay back the loan in a way that is fully balanced, and that farmer can be able to succeed.
Great, definitely a great package for the young people and women in agriculture. Later on, since you have talked so much about the inputs, I know the government has been actively involved in making sure that they provide subsidized fertilizers to the farmers. We'd like to know how Apollo Agriculture is working with the government to make sure that this process is seamless and also effective and accessible to the different farmers that you're working with. But before we get to that, Lynette, I want you to talk to us about Sai tumepata mvua. Farmers are happy. We are hoping that we maintain this momentum as much as we are in the wake of climate change. I'd like for you to talk to that farmer who's watching you right now. Kesho amepanga kuenda kupanda mahindi yake. What are the best agronomy practices that they need to make sure they follow if they are to be successful in this maize season?
Wonderful. So I'd start by the fact that as the ag team for Apollo, one of our key roles is to make sure that we design the right bundle. A bundle is a set of inputs that each farmer is going to get in the different regions. So different regions have different challenges, and that is what we do to be able to ensure that in each region, the farmer gets the package that is able to help them. So in terms of what the farmer should do, the rains are here. We're grateful for the rains. It starts with soil testing. At the end of the day, as you've said, we've been using planting maize year in, year out. We don't only test the soil. At Apollo, the most important thing we do is ensure that our farmers, after we test the soil, we ensure that they get the inputs they require as per the recommended soil test. So that is very important, because at the end of the day, when you stop at a soil test and you don't give the right inputs, you're not able to implement the advice that the soil test has been able to give you. So that's the first step. What inputs do we give them? Now, the second step, we go to seed. What seed should the farmer choose? We have different key regions in the maize growing regions in Kenya. Three key ones are the high altitude regions where there's high rainfall, cold weather. There are seed varieties specifically for the high altitude regions. We call them high altitude varieties, late planting varieties, which take around 6 months. So choosing the right variety for your region is key. Another region I can mention is medium altitude regions. These are regions like parts of Trans Nzoia, which they're not high, they're not very low, they're here in the middle. And we have varieties which take 5 months, 4 months that are suitable for those regions. Medium altitude varieties, we recommend that and ensure farmers get those varieties. And finally, due to climate change, we have challenges with weather. So we have regions where they face drought spells for months and for weeks. So for these regions, we recommend drought-tolerant varieties. Drought-tolerant varieties are varieties that can tolerate the drought spells and ensures a farmer can be able to get a good yield despite the drought spells. Now, as Ben has mentioned, when the drought is too much, that is where insurance kicks in. And Apollo is able to offer insurance package together with our bundles, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
great.
That's the
so that means huwa mnatembea na mkulima from the very beginning to the very end.
Yes.
Hadi mwisho wa safari. So how does this happen? Is it through phone calls? Do you visit them? How often do they get to interact you during the season of, you know, the husbandry all the way to the harvest? How does that interaction happen to make sure that there is a continued communication between the farmer and you as Apollo Agriculture?
Yeah. So thank you. So the first way is using our technology, we're able to send farmers training fast remotely directly to their phones. We call it IVR. Integrated voice recording. So from the time the farmer checks out their inputs, they're first able to get, for example, a seed quality training that enables the farmer to go and check out and reminds the farmer what to check when they're picking their seed, when they're picking their fertilizers, so that they can be able to pick the right things. We are able to train them remotely from seed selection, land preparation, all the way to post-harvest management, which is how do you take care of your harvest to make sure you don't lose it. That's the first way. And the second way, which we are excited to say, is through learning centers or farmer demonstrations. We are in the process of setting up a target of 300 plus demonstrations across our counties, targeting one demo site or one learning center per ward to be able to have farmers come and learn practically. When we say this spacing, how do you do the spacing? When we say proper weeding, how do we do it? So that's the second most important way that we work with our farmer. And we are starting from planting again all the way to post-harvest. So these are learning centers where we will train farmers at key stages of the crop so that they can be able to understand.
Right.
We plant with them, we take care of the crop with them, and we harvest with the farmers.
Great.
Yes.
The deal already sounds too good. And there's a farmer who's listening right now who probably has been a maize farmer for many, many years. Maybe the produce has not been as good as they've wanted it to be, but they're listening to you and they're feeling, yeah, with this team, I will be able to unlock new levels. And they're now very keen to find out, how do I be part of you? How do I get to sign up? Just before you continue the conversation, how can they get to be part of this process?
Yeah, so we want to work with all farmers. We don't want any farmers to struggle that they don't have like the inputs they need to be able to succeed. We work with them with the journey. We should say that we are partners along the journey. So we want all the farmers to be able to sign up. The rains are here already, so we want to support them on inputs. We are ready across all the counties where we are operating in. So farmers can be able to find our field officers on the ground. We have our partners who are agro dealer shops, which are on the ground, and some of them are already branded. And then also farmers can also be able to dial now, and we'll be able to get back to them.
So now you also take a lot of pride in being a technology-driven company. Please talk to us about some of the innovations that you have put in place to support our farmers during this maize season.
Yeah. So one thing which we are very proud of, as I said, is that farmers are still struggling with low productivity. One of it is that farmers can't be able to access the inputs they need, and most of the challenges that they can't be able to get the financing that they need to be able to afford those inputs. That is a solution that we are able to bring. But in addition to that, we know that inputs and financing is not the only thing that the farmer needs. I usually say that farming sometimes is like a mathematical formula. So it's like 1 + 1 = 2. And how I look at it is that if the farmer doesn't get high quality seeds and they get fertilizer, they won't get the production. If they get the high quality seeds, they get fertilizer, and they don't have the financing to afford it, they won't be able to succeed. But also, if they get all those inputs, and then there is a very bad drought, and they don't have insurance, they will still lose. And if they even get the insurance, they get the inputs, they get the financing, and they don't get the training on how to be able to succeed, that farmer won't be able to succeed. And that is why at Apollo, we bundle all those services that the farmer needs to succeed, so that that farmer, once they work with us, they will be able to succeed. And that is why today, we have been able to get over 2,000 field officers on the ground who are able to work with the farmer from the time they sign up with us until when they can repay and renew with us. And that field officer is able to offer agronomy support, they're able to offer customer support, they're able to offer financial literacy training so that the farmer can be able to succeed with the loan repayment, and that farmer is fully supported from start to the end. And also we also implementing, we have invested a lot in terms of Apollo Learning Centers, where we have a target of having 1 Apollo Learning Center in every ward, and this is where we can showcase technology to these farmers. So they can come there, we can plant together, we can show them how to do the planting, we can introduce even new varieties that Rinette was saying, because farmers are still sometimes stuck with the old varieties. They don't know climate change has come and have changed many things, so we can show much better varieties which are drought resistant. So we can even show other solutions on how to do it. Right. And that is why we want to invest in the communities. We want to invest in terms of ensuring that farmers can increase their production and be able to be successful.
Right. Rinette, you mentioned one of the common mistakes that you have seen is you'll find mkulima amekuwa akipanda mahindi over and over and over and over again, the same piece of land. And by the time you know it, that soil has been depleted, okay? The nutrients that were there are no longer as good as they used to be before. Please talk to the farmers on when it comes to crop rotation, when it comes to intercropping, what are the different crops that they can integrate in those very same farms where they grow maize?
Yeah. So thank you so much. One key one that we always encourage farmers to intercrop is legume crops, but specifically being Kenyans, beans is a common legume crop in our kitchen table or our dining table. So we encourage our farmers to intercrop their maize together with their beans. So as Apollo, we do offer beans as an additional input that a farmer can pick together with their maize so that they can grow them together. In terms of the how, we explain to the farmer and train the farmer how they grow that crop to be able to get maximum yield. One mistake we see a lot in the field is farmers in the old days would grow the maize and beans in one hole and get poor yields. And the misconception that growing beans and maize reduces your yield of maize comes from wrong practices in the field. So beans is a key one that we highlight to be able to take care of crop rotation. However, there's also crop rotation where you're growing different crops, having a bigger piece of land where you're growing different crops in different sections of your shamba. So a farmer can be able to rotate potatoes. With a section where they grow potatoes, they grow maize the second season. The cabbages, carrots, all these crops that are on our table, farmers can rotate in that way. In the same piece of land, rotating different sections.
Great.
So depending on the land, you can be able to adjust.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for those insights. We are having a conversation with Mr. Benjamin Njenga, the co-founder and managing director at Apollo Agriculture, and also Lynette Kisa, a senior agriculture associate at Apollo Agriculture, giving us tips on what you as a small-scale farmer need to do in order to thrive in the maize sector. And in case you're wondering, how can I be part of this amazing team of people who are supporting small-scale farmers in Kenya and Zambia as well, you need to dial *387 *39#. I'll repeat the USSD code again, *387 *39#. And thereafter, you'll be able to walk the journey with Apollo Agriculture. We're taking another break. When we come back, we're going to dive deep on what you as a farmer need to do in order to thrive in this sector. Na pia niko na farm joke, msidhani nimewasahau. See you after this break. And we are back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We do want to continue with our conversation from our team of experts from Apollo Agriculture, a technology-driven company that supports small-scale farmers in Kenya and Zambia, making sure that you are making the most out of your farms. We have Mr. Benjamin Njenga, who is the co-founder and managing director, and also Lynette Kisa, who is the senior agriculture associate. Now, before we continue with the remaining part of our conversation, we always do something here on the program called a farm joke question. It's something very easy. Don't overthink it. And the question that we're asking you today is, what do you call a bee in America? Okay? What do you call a bee in America? And you'll have to give me the answer at the end of the program, not now. Okay? So continuing with our conversation, let's talk about farm inputs. Clearly, one of the biggest challenges that a lot of farmers across the country, small scale, large scale, those in cooperative societies are facing is poor quality farm inputs, all the way from your fertilizers to your seeds. And the government has been very active ensuring that our farmers do get subsidized fertilizers. Please talk to us about how you as Apollo is working with the government, collaborating with the government to make sure that this process is accessible and also working for the farmers that you have.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to say that we have a very close collaboration with the national government and also even all the counties where we are operating in. And I want to commend the efforts with the government in terms of coming in to support our farmers in terms of access to inputs. We know, like every farmer, as you say, is really struggling a lot in terms of affordability. They want the fertilizer, but the fertilizer is expensive and they can't be able to afford it. So the government is really doing a very good job in terms of subsidizing the inputs for the farmers so that they can be able to plant. And as Apollo, we have been on that journey together. And right now we have very close collaboration collaboration with the government in terms of supporting the government in that food security agenda. So today we have been able to enable or make it possible with our government partnership to be able to even finance subsidy farmers. So we know that today a farmer is supposed to pay 2,500 to be able to get that 50-kilo bag of fertilizer. But we know there are still some smallholder farmers, majority of them, who can't be able to raise even that 2,500. So we have come in to bring in financing so that even those farmers, we can be able to finance them that 2,500 to be able to access that fertilizer. And that will really open up massive uptake even among smallholder farmers to ensure that every farmer in Kenya can be able to access the fertilizer this season and be able to plant and be able to support the food security agenda in the country. So we are already on the ground, we are already mobilizing our farmers, and any farmer who is really struggling or either stressed that where will I be able to even get the 2,500, they can actually be able to look for Apollo, and we'll be able to support them in terms of financing, and they can be able to pay pole over the season. And the beauty of it is that we also don't just finance that fertilizer, we also enable them and finance high quality seeds and other products that they need to be successful, including insurance and even training. And that way we are able to support our farmer, not only getting the fertilizer, but also getting other important things that they need as part of that subsidy bundle in terms of paying for them on behalf, paying on behalf of the farmer to the government, but also enabling that farmer to get the seed, the crop protection products, the training, and also the insurance, and making sure that that farmer can increase productivity and can be able to succeed at the end of the season.
All right, very quickly, let's talk about efficiency of this subsidized fertilizer. Kuna ule mkulima ambaye akona uwezo wa kuraise the 2,500, lakini sana sana watakwambia hiyo process ya kuendea hii fertilizer ni mbali kutoka mahali naishi. Saa zingine you'll have to go back and forth. So if you look at how much you've spent as transport and also maybe wengine itabidi wamelala at those particular towns as they wait, ukipiga hiyo hesabu yote, you'll end up having spent as much as if you were buying unsubsidized fertilizer. Talk to us about how you're making these subsidy inputs accessible to the mkulima so they don't have to go through so much hassle to access it.
Yeah, so for sure, and I know like the government have done a lot of work, and right now is very much efficient and very easy for the farmers to be able to access the fertilizer. And I think there the government continues to really push in terms of accessibility. For the inputs that they need to pick from our partner agro dealers, they are very close. It's like 3 to 5 kilometers radius to where the farmers are. So that enables the farmer to be able to go and get those seeds at the nearest agrovet in their village, making sure that that farmer can get the inputs easily to their farm.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Lynette Hissa, let's talk about the impact of the demo plots that you have and also the Apollo learning centers. How have those been working for you? How often do you have farmers there in the demo plots to learn? And so far, if you were to talk about the success story of this innovation that you have, what would you say?
Okay, so thank you so much. So the first thing is in terms of the impact of the demo plots. The demo plots are the learning centers. So when you talk about the demo plots, we're demonstrating good agronomic practices to the farmer, and that is where the learning center takes place. So in terms of what our target impact really is first to be able to teach the farmers the basic good agronomic practices that they require to do, all the way from when should you actually prepare your land, when should you plant, what seed should you choose to plant, what fertilizer should you use, and when should you scout for insects and pests. And finally, the last stage is when should you harvest, how sure are you your maize is ready for harvesting. And after you harvest, how do you store it to avoid losses, which farmers lose up to 30 to 40% of their crop after harvest, after doing all that great job, losing the harvest. So really the impact is hitting all those key steps for a farmer to get a good yield. And you'll find that our farmers really, as Ben has mentioned, because of following these good agronomic practices, are able to get double, even triple the yields that they got the previous season, because they're hitting all these 5 key steps to be able to succeed. Now, what's different this season? These learning centers are centers where we are also teaching farmers on new innovative inputs that they can use to be able to succeed even further. So if a farmer is out there looking at, okay, I'm able to get 15 bags or 20 bags per acre, what more can I do to stretch it to 30, to stretch it to 35, to 25? That extra bag, of course, will make a difference. So at these learning centers, we're able to position a good product. For example, for regions that are prone to striga weed, which is a devastating weed that eliminates up to 90% of our farmers' yield in regions like Siaya, regions like parts of Bungoma, Kisumu, we're able to position products like Kichawikil, which is an innovative bioherbicide that through Apollo, a farmer can access this season and coat their maize seed and use to plant to be able to get their 25 bags, as opposed to 5 bags or 0 bags the previous season. Another example I can give is Apollo planting fertilizer, which is a blended fertilizer by Apollo that has 8 key elements specifically for maize production to be able to give the farmer and the crop the right nutrients to be able to succeed. In case of drought, this Apollo planting comes with micronutrients like sulfur and boron, which are able to boost the establishment of the crop very fast.
Right.
So a farmer is able to succeed because of these new inputs that we are introducing. And finally, another key impact is just the community, to be able to train together, learn together. Beyond maize, we are showcasing onion and cabbages in the key regions where that is taking place, to teach farmers what other crops can they grow in these key regions alongside maize. Because when you harvest your maize production, if you can be able to have a second crop to harvest, it's able to increase the farmer's income. So those are the 3 key changes that we're introducing this season to support our farmers.
I did have the pleasure of meeting one of your professional agronomists, yes, Mr. George, and he taught me so much about the Kichawikil, yes, and I feel like it's a way to go for our farmers. Now, as we wind up this conversation, I'd like for you, Mr. Benjamin, to talk to us about what really makes Apollo agriculture different. And again, for that farmer who's listening to us right now and they want to be part of this, great work that you are doing, how can they sign up?
Yeah, for sure. So I think what makes Apollo different is the technology that we have been able to invest in terms of unlocking credit access for smallholder farmers. I can be able to say that we take pride that we are the first ones to be able to enable financing to go directly to smallholder farmers who is doing half an acre farm and be able to make it commercially sustainable and also profitable to serve that farmer. I know most traditional financiers have struggled to make it possible, but I can say the investments that we have made in new technology like AI, remote sensing, using satellite data, and enabling that the process of onboarding customers, from the way we onboard, the way we make lending decisions, the way we do last mile distribution, and even the way we do repayment and corrections at the end, has been able to unlock financing for smallholder farmers, and the reason why we are able to deliver the much impact, the inputs that the farmer need, the financing and the training, and we are able to see big results in terms of doubling and tripling the production of our farmers.
Thank you so much. Please remind them the USSD code that they need to sign into.
Yeah, so right now, we want to work with all the farmers in all the counties where we are operating in. And if you need the inputs and working with Apollo this season, just dial our USSD code *387 *39#.
All right. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure having the conversation with Apollo Agriculture, a technology-driven company that is very keen on making sure that small-scale farmers in Kenya and Zambia are making the most out of their farm in terms of getting optimum produce and also returns from your farm. Remember, the code is *387 *39#. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much for speaking to us, and keep up the good job that you are doing with our farmers. And with that, we have come to the end of the show, but we promise to keep this conversation going over and over again, as maize is the staple food of Kenya. We'll see you again tomorrow with a lot more when it comes to all matters agriculture. Until then, do have yourselves a fantastic evening. My name is Violetta Ngina. Goodbye.